It's from our friend Visage. The only way for a game's story to be bad is if there are clear contradictions within it. So long as an explanation for whatever events transpire can be found or inferred, it's fine. I'd add a caveat that I differentiate good story from good storytelling, however.
I mean, that's kind of just... Yeah, if the game story is bad, if you're not explaining anything or there's no like hints as to what's happening, yeah, no, that's kind of a bad, like... I guess it depends on why you're not explaining things, but...
like Dark Souls.
Yeah, like, Dark Souls' story can be deemed as pretty bad because not everything is explained to you within cutscenes, or you're not seeing a lot of what's happening. You can say the lore is really good, but the story of Dark Souls, what you're seeing unfold, is pretty bad. And I can say the same thing for Elden Ring as well. Like,
yeah, the fact that some more you can figure it out.
Yeah.
By context and stuff, it's probably fine.
Context, lore books, and it's just the fact that it's like I have to go out of my way to figure it out instead of the game just showing me what's happening instead of telling me. Because I didn't really like that about Genshin either. Because again, Genshin, sorry. But like a lot of like these mobile games or like these lore-heavy titles have like lore hidden within like, oh, like this new set that buffs your party actually belonged to like a rich duchess who lost her mind, and it's like, this is not important to the main story. So why are you making me read this? Or like they did a Genshin not recently. This was like 2 years ago, but like Genshin did like an event to where we explored the depths of a place called Economia. Like really good, really interesting location. You had cool day-night mechanics and a bunch of other stuff, and it had a really interesting deep lore backstory to it. That backstory does not matter to the main campaign, so as far as I am concerned, this is just cool filler. I would have rather had more main story content. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, if it's not gonna matter to the main objective, which is, in that game, it's dealing with the Abyss and finding your sister, or brother, depending on which twin you picked, like, it does not matter to me. It's fun, but it's like, this could have been main story. But then I really, like, I'm also not, I don't play a lot of mobile games, so I'm not used to that. And then when I realized that that's just kind of what they do when they're not doing story based, it's like, okay, this isn't bad. But still, like, the game story to be bad if there are clear contradictions within it, that is a blatant fact, because it's like, oh, hey, you said this does one thing, but it's doing another thing, and you didn't explain it properly. You know what show does that a lot, that I've noticed, past the Grand Magic Games arc? Fairy Tail. Hiro Mashima loves doing that, with where he'll set up stakes and rules for an obstacle the characters have to overcome, but because the stakes are so high and the obstacle is so insurmountable, he doesn't know how to actually get them out of that obstacle. So he does like a weird ex machina to suddenly undo all the stakes that he set up, and all of a sudden everything worked out and everything's fine.
Yeah, just lead him to the conclusion, yeah. No matter what.
So it's like the entire time you're like being clickbaited into watching it. It's like, how are they gonna get past this, bro? Like, the stakes are so high, and it's like, like literally towards the end, like, thing happens and then everything is magically resolved. Like, I've said this a million times, but like the 10,000 Dragon arc that took place right after Grand Magic Games, because Grand Magic Games was supposed to, the tournament arc was supposed to funnel magic to unlock the gates that unleashes dragons upon the city. It was not 10,000 dragons, it was like at most 5. Individual dragons, not 5,000, but like 5 dragons in general. So, B, Dragon Slayer magic that is specifically designed to slay dragons in the event that this sort of thing happens, does not work, barely makes them flinch, which is a trope I also don't like. The model is like, he's standing perfectly still, like no like scratches or anything, it's like, oh, it really touched me. But that's another tangent. Like, you know, they're trying their hardest at it, and one of the conspirators was like, frick, I was tripping and I need to make up for this somehow. There is like forbidden magic that I know of where I can sacrifice my life force and turn back and rewind time. I'll just rewind time back to the point to where this didn't happen. Now, you would think that that would be the thing that ticks me off, but it's not. What happens is the fact that she does the timey-wimey thing, but it only reverses time by like 5 minutes. So the dragons are still like, she's old and crippled, and the dragons are still terrorizing the place. what ticks me off is that within those 10 seconds, there were no changes to the game plan. Their magic suddenly just makes them flinch now. So they were able to drive the dragons back through the gate, close the gate, timey-wimey nonsense is done and over with, and then everything is fine. So it's like, none of that sequence made sense or needed to happen. You could have just made the dragons insanely strong opponents that Dragon Slayer magic would be effective with, but would still be a fight to deal with. I don't know. I write a lot, so like stuff like that irks me.
Yeah.
Because I overthink story beats all the time, so to have a writer that's actually really like popular not do that is annoying. Okay, but yes, no, this is a. I want to say this is a fact. Yeah, and that it ties into the so long as an explanation for whatever adventure and fight can be found first, it's fine. It was not explained as to why they suddenly have like a huge crit damage modifier that makes the dragons like hurt. It's just, oh man, within those 10 seconds, that's all they needed to change their plan. They did not in fact change their plan in the slightest. What they did before just works all of a sudden. And as someone who matches in fighting games, I understand that mentality completely. No, they go hand in hand.
So Visage here says,
this is a fact.
as long as the game doesn't contradict itself, it's a good story.
He's not looking about it, I don't think.
Oh, frick yeah.
Now, I don't know if Visage is here, but if you are, I would offer you the chance to defend yourself, because the chat is being very rude.
Actually, if you phrase it that way, yeah, you can have a story that's like that doesn't have contradictions and still be boring as paced. There was something I was sitting through that I remember, like, it's like, oh yeah, everything makes sense, but this is freaking boring. It's more of a personal opinion, but like, I don't want to use this as an example because like this movie was actually pretty decent, but like, it's like if I had an example in my head, but I can't think of it now. I don't want to bring up Fairy Tail again.
I've seen it as well, so I know what you're talking about, but I can't say that I really know what's said in the moment.
It's I guess I'll bring up another popular anime.
Naruto?
Honestly, yeah. Actually, no, not Naruto. This is actually gonna spark my like a lot of One Piece is the anime, not One Piece the manga. I will always say One Piece is a wonderful manga, but a terrible anime. And while the anime has a really good story that, you know, it does all the explaining, there's no contradictions, it is jam-packed with so much filler that it is insufferable to sit through. Like, I tried watching, like, when One Piece aired on Toonami, and I watched, like, a fight. Like, that fight took, like, 10 episodes before, like, anything was, like, even kind of resolved. Or something like that. Or, like, no, I'll take the most recent thing with the One Piece's Gear 5 anime, like, the thing. It spent more time, like, building up and repeating dialogue and animations than actually just showing the transformation do cool things towards the very end. And when it did do the cool thing, it was, like, brief, and the animation, while really smooth, was also, like, really cluttered, and I could not tell what was happening. So, like, yeah, I get why the form is here. It is explained very well. And thematically, it looks really cool. Like, everyone is mad at it because, oh, it looks like a cloudy cartoon character, that's the point. But I could go into why that's the point, and then another tangent. But that would be an example of, like, this is good storytelling, but this is also really boring storytelling. Because, yeah, everything's explained, but there's so much dedicated to this, like, one instance that it's like, nah.
I feel bad he's not here. Visage, if you watch the VOD, buddy, I'm sorry. But I'm joining in with these people. This is good. You're crazy. What the hell? What are you talking about?
I was leading that opinion, I guess.
That's insane.
Yeah, when he said
crazy.
The whole, like, so long as everything's explained, the story is good or something similar to that, that was when I was like, wait. I think like, I focused on the wrong point.
The parts after it make sense, but the leading, like, into it with the being like, this is the only way to be bad. It's like,
yeah.
Well, there are other ways, obviously. So
Yeah, I focused on like this part here and not this part here. That was this is where my where I was like, yeah, no, like, she's right, but it's like no, like a story can be well told and still be bad because it could just be boring.
That's huh? You can have a bad story that has no holes in it. It could either be a very trite story that's been told a billion times before, or something very obvious. Like, I don't know, there's so many games with... Did Life is Strange have any contradictions? That game was not good. The story was...
No,
hey, no.
He's right. Well, Life is Strange, it didn't have contradictions, but it did have the fact that she had powers that weren't explained. And another power that wasn't really explained was the fact that she can look at photos and time travel.
Yeah. Gameplay over explanation, I guess.
Like, that's weird. But, like, they didn't really all, like, they just sort of said that, oh yeah, she can do this. It's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, they never really explain the powers in those games.
Yeah, it's just they have powers and then, like, that's it. Dude, I will say, the third Life is Strange, like, her powers are actually kind of dangerous. Being able to read people's emotions and just, like, what if that was given to a professional instigator? You could just give that to, like, a random hype man in the crowd, and then, like, all of a sudden fights would, like, start breaking out, like, all the time.
Yeah.
It's a very funny power. But, again, not explaining how they got the powers, nor is it, like, implemented really well outside of, oh, I made the wrong decision. Reverse. Oh, I made the right decision. It didn't help that story itself wasn't very good. It was literally like a...
It was badly told.
Basically, her friend Chloe had to die, but because she kept preventing it somehow brought about the apocalypse.
I mean, it's the butterfly effect, essentially.
Yeah, but like I get the plot's like trying to get her to die, so I guess summoning a giant tornado to wipe out the city would be the most extreme way to do it. But the thing about that is, she still, if you pick the bad ending, she still survives.
Right, that's the thing.
They both go off into a different city and probably ruin that place. I don't get where the beach wells came from though. That was also never. Life is Strange is a bad example. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm getting that way now.
When you have high winds like that, apparently it just doesn't happen with sea life. I guess.
Maybe? If that's the case, then that's fine. That's one of those, like, inferred facts.
Usually, it's not whales, though. It's, like, fish. Like, smaller fish, I think. Or, like, you have
to demonstrate, like,
such high winds.
It could also be, like, to demonstrate how strong the tornado is, because, you know, the tornado is, like, a bunch of really, really powerful wind, and it is a huge tornado, like, country ending. Honestly, I'm surprised that one city was the only one that was hit.
Yeah, right? You think it would decimated the entire state.
Yeah, maybe the next state over. Because it had to come from somewhere. It's probably going, like, drawing a line across the U.S. as we speak.
I think technically it was kind of a hurricane, because it came over the water, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it was probably a hurricane that was just tornado-shaped, because this plot is really stupid.
I honestly don't know the difference between a hurricane and a tornado, other than the fact that it's over the water. So it's like, I don't know. What is the difference?
Well, I think tropical storms are, like, from the coast. Like, they're from the water inland. Tornadoes can kind of just form in certain spots. In random spots. So, like, it's technically both. It is a tornado that formed in the water.
Yeah, so it's like, it could be called either, really.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm going to get into it, just call it a storm. Never call it a tornado or a hurricane, just call it a storm.
Yeah, it is a horrible world-ending storm that really, really, really wants Chloe to die for some reason.
Yeah.
It fails to do that because they drive off and go to the city. I don't know. That game makes me mad. The more I think about it.
Yeah.
Alright.
The whole way through, there were no stakes. Other than, I guess, the town blowing up, but I didn't care about any of those.
That's a little rude.
It take too long to get to any sort of action plot. Actually, here we go. I use this one a lot. You guys remember Outlast 2? How Outlast 2 had answers for absolutely everything throughout the whole game, but you had to find a million notes in the ground and in the dirt to actually understand what happens. Well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Pretty cool story. You have to
That you read about.
a million treasure chests.
That was my issue with like Souls games or games where there's like lore hidden in like this random stick you picked up off the ground. It's like no. I will give Outlast credit to where it's like everything that in Dark Souls credit to where everything that happens pertains to like what's happening in the story right now. But like I don't like having to find pieces of a story. Like with Breath of the Wild, at the very least, you can like you see cutscenes that you find that you come across. Like every so often you'll see like a memory of like one of the characters like on the ground in a random spot on the map, and you show a cutscene of like what happened before Ganon wiped the place out. And it's like this is actually it's being told to me, so I don't mind having to go out of my way for it. I don't have to sit here and read like a 12-page essay on why Radahn should have won the fight against Millennia, or something to that effect, or why Melina has the scar on her eye, and then watch a YouTube video and watch those things connect. It's like, I don't like having to consult to external media for story.
Right.
But that's more so, it's also just me. Like, some people like figuring that stuff out, so more power to y'all. It ain't me, fam.
Okay.
Best action that game. Nintendo makes some of the best games, but they can't run a company well. Xbox 360 controller is the best feeling controller ever made. This is too many. Let's just do the first one.
There is a million. This dude does not have a single point.
Kind of makes it opinion at the beginning, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I really agree with that entirely, because like the fact that they're still afloat means they run a company well.
Yeah, they can run the company. They're just not customer friendly in the slightest. They make horrible customer friendly decisions.
I almost lean more on the game not being the best because of that than the company not being run well.
Yeah, like they make really good games. They just have horrible business practices, and that's not because that doesn't mean they can't run a business. That just means, like I said, the customer friendly ones are the ones that they don't like. That's where they're horrible at.
This is even like before a lot of the recent stuff, I guess, too. So
Nintendo makes some of the best games, but they can't run a company. Fellas.
Sorry, hang on. Why you like lagging?
This highlighted
you can
part.
say fact.
Is this a fact? Nintendo makes some of the best games, but they can't run a company. Fellas. This highlight.
Okay, there we go. I haven't looked in a while, so it like freaked out.
Gotcha. I think he's gonna say fact here, but
if we're going off like the common knowledge of like, yeah, no, they're customer friendly, they're consumer friendly, your practices are garbage, yes.
yeah, I feel like it could be like you're saying it as a fact, but it could still be a wrong fact.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it can still be like that goes. I guess like that goes from Berserk. I was like, yeah, like that is an objective fact, but like you're not specific enough to where I can gauge it, and that's the problem with a lot of these tweets, where it's like they're not specific. They say a lot of general statements because it's like 1-2 sentence like one-liners, and it's like, oh, okay, this is kind of hard to gauge. But it's like, like the more they go into it, the more it's easy to tell. I would say, yeah, no, this isn't. If we're going by like face value, this is an opinion.
Is this a fact, or is it an opinion?
The suspense is killing me, dude.
He's trying to look it up.
Name the richest company in Japan in 2020.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Sometimes the Google search is really all it
Nintendo
takes.
is the richest company in Japan in 2020. Nintendo has a net worth of 890 billion yen, or approximately 8 billion USD as of this year. This is the worst opinion of the night.
Darn,
What
worse than
the
Sonic
fuck are
one.
you talking about? What do you mean?
Well, I think it's like half back.
They can't run a
The first part is an opinion, and the
Yeah,
second
first
part
part,
is a wrong fact.
The Xbox 360 is a fact. They're being the best fielding controller. 'Cause that's like.
I mean, like, even in that first statement, I mean, it has half and half.
Yeah, first
But they
thing
said-
can be half and half, depending on what you mean by run a company well. But. Because, like, you can make the argument that EA, but it's like, EA is actually, like, not. They're fine financially, but they are not, like, the biggest, despite, like, how much they're in the news. It's like, they're actually, like, not that big compared to others. I don't remember who usurped them, but I remember it was, like, like, for as money hungry as EA is, like, they're not top dogs.
Yeah. Especially not anymore.
They just make themselves known in the worst ways possible. So they're always in the public zeitgeist.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this first one, I would say, yeah, the first half, and then the second half, depending on what he means by run a company well.
Company well.
But they are well afloat, so that's
What?
that doesn't make
That's all
sense.
they do is run their company well. I can understand if you don't think that they do the best business practices or you're mad at them because they're not producing Shay the R, but Sunshine's not the same. Why didn't you remake all the textures? Listen, I understand. I don't mean to bully you, but you're absolutely wrong. Blue Cosmonaut, another friend of the stream.
Yeah, he didn't even do the rest of them, yeah.
What's up? Oh, chatter?
He didn't do the rest of the ones I never got. I think most of them were just opinions in general anyway.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A lot of these are opinions, like, a few of them are actual, like, decent facts. It's just fun giving my takes on stuff. I just enjoy giving my takes on it. And Coney's also fun to watch, so
Right.
it's a win-win for me. Most of the gamers who want video games to be seen as art don't actually care about anything about
Gamers
artistry.
who want video games to be seen as art
Kind of true.
don't actually care about artistry. They just want games to be expensive and cinematic, like they are in Marvel movies. The Last of Us 2 is just Avengers Endgame. I don't agree.
Okay, well, that's part of his opinion, but
Like, what do you mean? So obviously, when he sees art, he thinks of like the cinematic, like Last of Us 2, or like Elite Brief, and Metal Gear Solid 4, where it's mostly a movie and movie first, game second. Those games are boring, like kind of. Like I'm kind of biased because I don't like third-person shooters, so I'm not gonna play Last of Us regardless. But if Sonic, sorry, what? Continue.
I think the game itself actually is pretty fun. But the part that people are split on is the story.
Yeah,
Which
Last
one
of
is
Us 2,
that?
they just didn't like the Last of Us 2 story. The gameplay itself is fine. It's more of the same, so it's not going to be bad, but like...
Yeah, they just expanded on the first one, and then everyone wasn't sure about the story as much.
Yeah. So that's whatever. That's just that's kind of a nothing burden more than anything.
I'd be more okay with that last statement if it wasn't just Avengers in a game. If they said it was like Avengers in a game, they made it a simile instead of this is what it is.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
it's similar.
If you were to compare more, then like just say no. It's just like Endgame, where it's like nonsense. It's like if you like gave an example of why they were like that, that'd be a more concrete fact. But this is more of just an opinion. That, again, nobody elaborates on their opinions because people don't know how to talk to people.
Yeah, they don't want to list out their reasons and be like, no. And they're like, fact check them. They just sort of say it without any context
Like, actually, is there
or
any,
like explanation.
he's like, do you have any kind of backing on that, or no? Okay, fine. That's
No.
That's what we're doing. This is what you're saying, I guess.
Not listing the sources, which isn't a good sign for your statement.
But like, there are plenty of games that are, especially AAA games, don't know how to do art well, like artsy games well. Like
Indie games know how to do better.
yeah, indie games know how to do both, to where it's an art and a game. Because like Hat in Time has a wonderful art style. There's a bunch of different like doesn't that game have like What's the story of Hat in Time? That covers like themes really well or something, doesn't it? Like certain themes pretty well, doesn't it?
I mean, it's essentially like she has all these hourglasses, and then somebody comes in and like wrecks her ship, and they fall out. But
they scatter, and she has to find them all, pretty much.
It's kind of like the subplot, really, because what it comes down to is the relationship with this other character, I guess, and like the difference of morals, I guess maybe you might call it. What she wants to use those things for, and what she uses them for, I guess. Maybe, I guess that's how I would call it. But yeah, I don't know the story too well of that game, but that's what I surmised with it, I guess.
I guess that one's a bad example. But I'm trying to think. Like, now that I see indie games all the freaking time, but now that I'm trying to think of one. Like,
Hollow Knight.
Yeah, Hollow Knight's probably a better example. I am not. Like, that actually is kind of an art game. It has, like, a lot of neat little, like... Actually, gosh, like, saying it, like, what's a good art game and what isn't, like, that in and of itself is subjective. Because it's like...
Yeah.
What do you mean by art? Because, like, art could literally be anything. I could take a photo of my backyard right now, and that would be artistic. Like, that's, like... I get,
it's just
like...
art is just innately subjective.
Yeah. Like, Super Mario Wonder is art. Like, Super freaking... Conker's Bad Fur Day is art. Like, it's... Games inherently are an art form because you're creating something. Creation in general is art. As long as, like, if it's, like, something you made with your bare hands. Like, this comic book sitting next to me. Like, this is a creation. Like, this is an art because it was created by, like, the creative mind by someone or something. Like, you can't really, like, say something isn't art without explaining what your definition of art is, and that's so different for everybody that it's like that, like, this has to be an opinion because, like, art, his definition of art is different from everyone else's.
What do you think?
This has to be an opinion.
Do you think games should be art?
They focus way too much on cinematics, I will say that. But games are an art.
Oh, hold on. It started... People are saying opinion now.
That's like saying
people
books
are saying
aren't
fact a lot, but now people are saying opinion. Hold on. Oh, this is a poll. This is a big poll. Hold on. People seem divided. People seem divided. No, wait, that's backwards. It's fact! I forgot to label my sources.
That was... He baited me so bad.
Screaming's hard. A lot of the people who say that games are art, oh my god, this is changing the industry, it's so amazing. They only say this about cinematic games with very little gameplay or substance.
That is true. A lot of people that say this game's an art are the boring cinematic ones.
Compared to other media, gets cast aside by people who just want a cinematic naughty. However, a lot of the people who desperately cling to this idea that video games have to be art, that they have to be something more than what they are usually pretty contentious and they just want to be taken seriously by film.
That is also true. If you don't already see video games by default as an art, then yeah, no, you're trying to be like deep.
This is from a long time.
And this is coming from someone who actually draws.